Hey everybody, it is Cathy with Backyard Columbus, and thank you for tuning in today. If you happen to be watching this video on YouTube, then you are going to see that I have closed out daylight in my backyard recording this episode. When it's nice out, I am pretty committed to doing this outside, and we were very busy today, and so I think right now it is 9:30 p.m., and I do this when I can, and so this is the time I have, so it's actually at least not blazing hot, so that is a positive thing. Today's episode, and fittingly, because I'm out here at night, is what to do about mosquitoes. And so this is a topic that I may not win everyone over on, but it's just food for thought. And hopefully, I learned some things. Hopefully I can help you make some different decisions. We'll see how it goes. So this is something that's interesting to me. If you were to have asked me how many mosquito species do we have here in Ohio, I'd have said 1. I mean, 3 if I was going to be crazy. We actually have 60. I honestly wouldn't have thought there was 60 in the whole United States, to be truthful with you. So that's pretty interesting. So out of those 60 varieties of mosquitoes, only a few spread disease. Okay. Listen, I'm sort of speaking on an uneducated level on this next point, but I personally don't know anybody who has become deathly ill from their backyard from mosquitoes. Now, if you're allergic to mosquito bites, please don't blow up my inbox or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes we have this irrational fear about things. Now, look, ticks are a little bit different story because people are, and I know some people who have been seriously ill from tick bites, okay? But mosquitoes in our backyard, I get it. They're annoying. My husband can barely tolerate it. I get that. But I think there's also then this gross overreaction to annihilate all mosquitoes, and this really kind of goes down a rabbit hole. So if you can just hang with me for a few minutes, I'm going to run through this and just, again, food for thought. Here is the thing about mosquitoes. They are actually a food source. Okay, so frogs, fish, birds, bats, dragonflies, all eat mosquitoes. All right. So if we were to indiscriminately, you could wave a magic wand and say, kabam, I've gotten rid of all the mosquitoes in Ohio, we're going to have some problems. Okay. Like a bat eats, I think it is 100,000 mosquitoes a night. Listen, I'm pretty sure that's correct. I always get a little bit twitchy when I start throwing out statistics when I don't do this for a living. I always say this, but I will say it again. I am not an expert in most of the things that I talk about on this podcast. I am pretty educated on it, but I am very passionate about it. So that's where it's living. So feel free to double check statistics that I throw out. The point is the same. It's a butt ton of mosquitoes that bats eat every night, and so do dragonflies. We have had the pleasure of dragonflies laying their eggs, and I'm going to make a bigger point about this in a minute, laying their eggs in our ponds in our backyard. And so we had this swamp darner, and if you're bored, look that up. Swamp darners are beautiful dragonflies. I mean, stunning dragonflies. And it was circling our yard for, I don't know, quite a few days actually. And it would go along, pretty sure it was the female, go along in a grid pattern across our backyard. And I was doing some yoga in the backyard. And when I was finished, I was just sitting there. And this dragonfly was going back and forth in front of my face. I don't mean literally just hanging out right there. It didn't even care that I was there, but you could hear it clicking as it went by, whether it was zapping things out of the air or I could hear its wings. It was really pretty crazy. But anyway, I don't want dragonflies to die. I'm sure they eat other things as well, but they eat a load of mosquitoes. So basically we would crash ecosystems. Okay. So you just can't take one thing and a little thing, whales, humpback whales eat krill. Krill, listen, off the top of my head, all I know for a fact is that it's a teeny weeny little thing in the ocean that humpback whales eat tons, megatons of those every year. And so if you removed krill from the ocean, you would crash the ocean ecosystem. Loads and loads and loads of things would die. So, we hear about the food web. these things like mosquitoes and krill and things like that, they're at the bottom that sustain all life above it. So we're part of the not part of the food chain, but we're part of the ecosystem. So my goal with sharing these ideas with you is that we kind of think about it in a little bit different manner. How can we enjoy our backyard without getting eaten alive by mosquitoes? Because listen, I'm pretty white and you can see all those mosquito bites all over my skin, and they are nothing resembling attractive or sexy. That is a fact. So let's see what we can do about that. So, okay, I told you all the reasons why they're important, okay? Part of the food system, that's basically this is actually a thing too. Did you know they are also pollinators? Not big ones, not like, bees and butterflies, but they do help pollinate. Yes, the world would live if a mosquito never pollinated another thing. I do not think they are a pollinator of any one thing only. So anyway, feel free to Google that and double check that before I get into some kind of trouble and say wrong things. So, but that's the best I can do on that, okay? But let's get to what people typically do with about mosquitoes and how this doesn't go very well. Bug zappers. So, and listen, I'm not making fun of anybody because I have purchased plenty of things where the person selling it, like on TV, it made sense to me at the time. And then the more educated I got on whatever it was, I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought. Okay, bug zappers, they kill the insects that we need, first of all. Moths don't hurt anyone, and they are major pollinators. If you were to go around, if you have several nectar-producing flowers in your yard and you were to go on little night hikes like I do, you would see moths on everything. Moths on the zinnias, moths on the marigolds, moths on the milkweed flowers. I mean, they're everywhere. And so they're just the night shift. So they are also drawn to light. That is why people don't want lights flooding everything. You're drawing them away from what they normally do, and then they exhaust themselves and then they die, okay, without helping to pollinate. And by the way, like pollination is what is almost like flower sex, if that makes sense. These pollinators get inadvertently, even if they're just sipping nectar, they inadvertently get the pollen on their bodies and then take that pollen to the next flower. And that is how the female and male parts of these flowers end up connecting, is via the pollinators. If you didn't ever hear that before. Okay, so that's how pollination works, relatively speaking. And moths are part of that. We don't want them exhausting themselves, flying around a light bulb that somebody has had on all freaking day and all night. I get security purposes, but we don't need to flood our yards with like 60 billion megawatts of light. Okay, you could be more strategic about it. We all could, okay? So, but the bug zappers, they attract the moths, they attract beetles, they attract things that we actually need to go do the job of pollinators. And did you know that the mosquitoes are actually not attracted to the UV light? So those bug zappers are pretty inefficient at killing the mosquitoes, but very efficient at killing the things that weren't bothering you in the first place. So if you could just trash that bug zapper, that would be amazing. Okay, so, and for the germaphobes out there, like when I pause, I am scratching off my notes so I don't get lost and go down a rabbit hole and can't find my way back. Anyway, interestingly, if you are a germaphobe, what the bug zappers also do is they pulverize the insects and scatter them, kind of like they explode. And then if you happen to be having a drink out on your patio near the bug zapper, which apparently you should not do, you're going to be drinking some bug parts. So maybe it's just not a great idea anyway. Apparently it lands on the surfaces. It could be in your food. So see, a really great reason not to have a bug zapper. The more popular method that a lot of people do is broad spectrum spraying, which means spraying pesticides on everything. If you have listened to me before, again, I thank you, but pesticides are not healthy. Okay, I do understand why people use them, but once you really start to think about it, a pesticide is poison. That's just a fact. But it is killing the things that you want. If you like seeing lightning bugs, the pesticides that the company or you spray all over your lawn kills them. It kills caterpillars that turn into butterflies, caterpillars that turn into moths. And by the way, birds almost exclusively, but let's say a very high percentage, feed their babies caterpillars. So you see how you were trying to fix one thing, but just destroyed a whole load of everything else. All right. So again, I'm not judging anybody. I hope I am not sounding like condescending or anything like that. When you're busy, or if this is not in your wheelhouse, this is what I think about because I'm out in my garden all the time. I mean, I do have a full-time job and I'm very busy. So I have worked this in to my life because it's my hobby. But then the more interested I get, the more passionate I get, the more things I learn. And that is why I do this podcast, because I like to share that with you. And hopefully you can incrementally make some changes that will help the pollinators out. So that is why I do that. So here are alternatives. Okay, so we've talked about basically the two main ways that people try to eradicate the mosquitoes. And whatever you spray on yourself, I mean, there are natural insect sprays that you can spray all over your body. I don't know about those little wristband things. I'm sure there's all kinds of doodads people say work. They might work. I have no idea. Citronella candles. We don't have any. We do have some of that citronella on rare occasion, that liquid. On rare occasion, we use that. I actually did not look that up. So you could look that up and see what you find out and shoot me an email and let me know what you find out about how toxic probably the citronella burning that is. Anyway, but the alternatives to what we just talked about. I personally, for our house in Columbus, Ohio, you can get on a no spray list because from time to time they will go through the neighborhoods and they will broad spray everything. I do not adamantly opposed to that hitting our lawn. Everything we do in our lawn is organic, very natural. It seems to balance out on its own. I don't want that spray, so we could, I just did that all online, okay? So I don't know if they do that in other suburbs or what, but here are other alternatives to help out, lessen the mosquito population in your yard, is get rid of standing water in your gutters and in containers. I mean, sometimes people don't realize that one of the gutter systems isn't working very well and it has standing water. So that's where mosquito lay their eggs, and then you got a whole bunch more mosquitoes. So just make sure that's flushing through. Make sure that you don't have any standing water in a rain barrel, or I will get to what you could do about that. I'm sure that most of you are not going to want to hear what I have to say for number 2. You could get a bat box. I'm just throwing it out there. It's possible. It would be helpful. And no one is going to die of any histoplasmosis or anything like that. My husband actually is the only person I know who knew someone who died from contact with guano, which is bat crap. But he was a caver, or he had an old barn or something. But what has to happen with that is it has to be like poop, 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 piled, 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 piled. And then it molds and it gets turned, it's a fungus, and those spores release, and it can, if you breathe that in, it can kill you. I don't think it always kills you, but if you are compromised respiratorily, that's just made that word up, that's not something I'd want to breathe in. So anyway, but a regular old bat box, like way up in a tree or wherever you can put it. We don't have one yet. I desperately want one. I keep forgetting about it. We have 4 little brown bats that circle over our yard all the time. So that is helping with the mosquito population in our yard. Also, and look, we get bitten, so I'm not trying to act like it has absolutely solved it, and we have dragonflies, so that's awesome too. But we could just think about a bat box. Dragonflies, okay? Interestingly, you can't just go buy dragonflies, okay? You can't, I don't know that you could just put up a box and attract a dragonfly. That's not a thing. But what you can do to attract dragonflies is put in a small pond. We have ponds ranging in sizes from 2.5 feet round to, I don't know, let's just say 4 feet round. Sure, that's about right. We have 3 ponds. And we have had several species of dragonflies find our pond in the middle of the suburbs, lay their eggs, and then those nymphs actually eat the mosquito larvae that would be in the pond. But also, I run, sorry, I hear things moving behind me. Now I'm getting creeped out. We do have raccoons, so I hope one's not behind me. Ew, that'll freak me right out. Then you can hear me scream on this podcast. Anyway, see, I got distracted. Anyway, we run a pond, fountain. Not all the time, because I actually don't want to kill all the mosquito larvae in the pond, because I want my tadpoles, frogs, and dragonfly larvae to have something to eat, okay? But the easiest thing is a mosquito dunk. In direct contrast to having your yard sprayed, you can get mosquito dunks. And I'm going to have to read this because this is something very new to me. So it works by releasing a naturally occurring bacterium. We're going to call it BTI because I will slaughter the middle part of it, but it is a naturally occurring bacteria, okay? Into standing water. It produces a toxin that is ingested by the mosquito larvae, disrupting their digestive system, and they die. Okay, so no fuss, no muss. It doesn't kill the adults. It kills the larvae, so you're not going to continually get more mosquitoes. The dunks float in water and slowly release that bacterium, and there are also buckets that you can put in a water-soaked straw, and I will put a link in my in this episode of a local person I got that from. It's one of my followers on Instagram. And so very grateful that she gave me one of the mosquito dunks, and I bought one from her son because he sells them, okay? I think he is, and all of a sudden I forget the poor kid's name. He was so nice, really great kid. Anyway, I bought one because I wanted to buy one from him, but they also gifted me one, which was very nice. And so that is a really great way. So you could strategically put those buckets where you are going to spend the most time outside, okay? So in conclusion, I'm going to have to read this because I thought it was kind of clever. Anyway, the more natural you can keep your yard, nature will balance itself, okay? But sometimes we still need to help that whole process along. But the healthiest way for all of us creatures is really the best for all of us creatures, okay? The healthiest way we can do everything is better for all of it, I guess unless you're a mosquito, which we're aiming on killing, okay? So that is it. If you have questions, if you have other ideas that have worked for you, I would love to hear that and share that as well. Again, I always thank you for listening. I have fun doing this. I hope you have a little bit of fun listening. Have an awesome day.